I'm Jackie. This is Garrett. We almost got divorced. Going through all that made us like how we are now, which is just so much better than you could ever imagine.
When you get through the deepest, darkest part of the night, man, it ain't nothing but sunshine after that.
This is the most important job you'll ever have, and people don't put as much work into it as they should.
We've been married 26 years.
We have 5 adult children and 1 brand new granddaughter. She's so cute.
This is episode 5. And we're going to talk about today a topic that everyone loves to hear these words.
We need to talk.
We need to talk. Whenever you hear those words, people get excited.
I don't.
Nobody does, I think. But we're going to talk about those infamous words and how we handle tough conversations and things to talk about. So with that, ready to do it?
I don't know of a conversation that I feel like we need to have that I avoid having. I don't think I'm like, "Ugh, I really need to tell him that, my car needs repair. Or I just can't bring myself to have the conversation." I don't feel like anything like that happens. I'm very introverted, so a lot of things I would just rather work through on my own, especially if I don't feel like someone else is going to think that they're as major as I would.
And I don't know. I think a topic that's usually hard is just anything involving purchases or money or what we can and can't do because of money. Some other things we talked about would be just like intimacy. Some other things probably would be like she said, just the normal everyday things where your partner has a routine or has a pattern of doing things, and then like Jackie has to be somewhere and I know I need her to do something or I want her to make something. It's just it's hard to have that conversation because you're kind of bucking their whole like schedule or whatever they're used to doing. Like if I wanted to go with you to Ross, you might not be. What do you think, Ray?
What? Would I want you to go?
No, I'm just saying like asking me to do something like when you probably think twice.
If I need you to do something, like, I don't think I would have an issue asking you. My issue would come in if I asked you today to do something and you said yeah, and then 2-3 days later it's not been brought up again, and then I ask you again and you seem bothered, or yeah, I know, I just didn't have time. I'm not going to ask again. I'm going to be mad for a couple days, and then I'm just going to move on.
Good thing I never did that.
Good thing. I think people avoid hard talks, not even necessarily out of fear of hurting someone or a fear of themselves being hurt. I think it's more out of, for me personally, it's more out of fear of the dramatics. I feel like a lot of times people get in their heads, I know I used to all the time be like, I have to have this conversation with him, or I have to break this thing to him, and I already know how it's going to go. But after we split and got back together, I'm less skittish about saying my truth. Not even just after the split. I feel like the longer I live, the older I get. Since my mom passed away, I'm less skittish about saying what I feel. I can't keep it to myself. Unlike some people, I have to say it because I've been through a point in my life where keeping things inside, I'm going to not say something about this one thing, and I'm not going to say something about it for a period of time. And then something that would never bother me is just going to push me clean over the edge. And an argument is going to erupt, and it's not going to be about what it's about. It's going to be about the thing that I didn't talk about. So I just think it's fear of the...
But if I ask you what's bothering you, you got to tell me.
Right. Like, but if I say nothing, either nothing's bothering me, or either genuinely nothing's really bothering me, or I can't put into words what it is that I'm feeling. Like, sometimes, like, I'll come home and be like, I'm just, like, in a funk. and I don't know what it is, and I'm sick of feeling like this. Like, I don't know what's causing it, and I try to like reason what it could be, you know, the time of year, the holiday season, like whatever it is, like I don't really know what it is. So if I say nothing, it's either really nothing's bothering me, it's that I can't put it into words, or it's that I'm not ready to talk about it yet.
But then you have to tell me what you need in that moment too.
Right. I need to be left alone.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. It's just you, because a person feels like it's them when you don't say what it is. For this question, is it more of for the person being in fear of fear of the other person, or fear for myself? I would say it depends on what I'm about to say. Like, what if what I have to say is gonna cause you to have to do something, or it's like, you know, it could come off as me telling you what to do, then I'm kind of fearful of how you're gonna respond. But if it's something, if it's something I did that I have to tell you that I did, then I'm gonna be like fearful for myself of how you gonna punish me for whatever I'm about to tell you about what I did.
And it sounds insensitive, and maybe I am, and it sounds a little heartless. Like, I'm not concerned about hurting feelings because I don't like to live in the world of make-believe. I feel like you were doing people a disservice by sugarcoating things. I'm not saying be rude, but...
Okay, what if, so this is what I'm saying. So what if you spent way more than you had planned to spend?
On?
I don't know, anything. Because this has happened before. And then you wanted to talk to me about it.
Okay.
You're kind of hesitant.
No.
No?
No. What are you gonna do to me?
Like, nothing, but
well, yeah,
you get so not emotional, but I think something bad is about to happen, and you'll preface it with all this jargon, and then you'll say, you know, I spent $200 at the Ross, and I'll be like, oh, it's like you do much more, you know.
Oh, I don't feel like that. Maybe I'll just let you find out on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. That was a poor example. Something happened recently, or like we talked about before, when you had to make a decision and I wasn't anywhere around.
That was a couple $1,000 decision, but it had to be made.
But I mean, it's just things like that where sometimes you worry about how the other person's gonna react, or I guess both. It's always the person's reaction, but is it gonna hurt them or is it gonna hurt you? That's the goal.
I think saying something the wrong way versus not saying something, I guess it depends on what the thing is. I could be irritated with him about something, and I could have a million conversations while sitting beside him with myself in my head about smart and slick comments I could say. Is that going to enhance our relationship? No. Is it going to add any value to whatever the discord is? No, it's not going to make anything better. So in some cases, I feel like not saying anything at all is better. But if it's something that's going to keep persisting and keep coming up and keep being an issue, it's not going to stop until you say something about it. It's going to continue until you address whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, and I don't condone this, but I'm gonna say not saying anything at all is actually better than saying something the wrong way. Although my recommendation would be to say something the right way. But if you say something wrong, there could be lasting ramifications. There's things that I have said wrongly that I know to this day Jackie has never forgot. Versus the things that I've never said, I still have a chance to say them right. I still have a chance to get it right. But I wouldn't, like Jackie said, you're going to keep going through or being bothered by whatever it is you don't say. So you have to say it, but make sure when you say it the right way without all that extra stuff. And it can be hard, especially if things get, heated and, people try to go tit for tat. But yeah, I'm just being honest. I'd rather keep it to myself than say it wrongly to you, babe. You don't deserve that.
I don't. I'm sure we've probably both stayed quiet in an attempt to keep the peace. And at some point, it did cause more damage. I'm not in the habit of doing that anymore.
You don't keep the peace no more.
I'm not a peacekeeper.
I don't know. I think I try to keep the peace because there's like a lot of unrest without my my comments. Like there's a lot that goes on with people's lives, and so when I come home, I don't want to add to the chaos. So I usually keep the peace, but I'm just aggravating myself when I do it. So I've been trying to get better at not hurting myself by trying to not hurt everyone else. But I think there is a right time and a place to say things. So I don't know if that's considered keeping the peace. Because yeah, there are times where there's just a lot of things going on where it might not be the right time to say something in that moment. But don't prolong it. Wait till things settle down and then rightfully pick or choose your words to say whatever it is that you thought would cause things to not be peaceful.
How do you know when the right time to do anything is? Like, I don't know that, you're going to look at a sundial and be like, oh, it's 4 p.m. Time is right to bring up this serious topic. We say it all the time when we had our kids. Like, our kids were very, very close in age. Each kid we had, we were, barely getting by. And then we'd have another one. And then we were managing and we'd have another one. We were managing. We said at the time there was never a right time for kids. You could never plan for something like that. I don't think you can really plan a right time to have a difficult conversation. I don't need some song and dance. I don't need to be taken out for coffee or to a public place out of fear for your safety. Like, just to like set the stage to have this right time conversation. I don't know that there is a right time, but I feel like if it is a conversation where you're tossing around, is the time right? Like, it definitely needs to be had sooner rather than later.
I agree with you. I don't think there's ever a right time because if you and I've done this where I've tried to wait for that time and it's like, well, I'll wait till she's feeling better or she's in a better mood. She's in a better mood, and you're like, well, I don't want to say it now. She's in a good mood. And then when she's back where she's not in a good mood, it's like, well, then you play this song, do the song and dance. And it's like, I ain't never going to get this out. So there's never going to be a right time. Just try to do it in a time where the environment suits the conversation. Like, of course, when there's a lot of people around or a lot of things or distractions, you definitely wouldn't want to have a hard conversation then. But I mean, the best thing is to do what the title of this episode is. It says, hey, can I talk for a minute, or we need to talk? And just find that minute when you two are alone. Try to, and just have it out.
I think a conversation will go left real quick if blame is being assigned, especially if the other person is not allowing you to finish whatever it is you're trying to say. I feel like that's just the beginning of the end of a productive conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the opposite of that. I'm gonna say, you know it's gonna go left when the person does not take accountability or doesn't even think about it. Like, the action is immediately, I don't do that, right? And it's like, to yourself, you may not do that, but my perception is that you do. And that's why I took the time to say this now, because I believe that you do. And so it should work more towards, okay, if I feel that way, what makes me feel that way? And so, not that you need to take accountability, but more you should be open to hearing how a person perceives something. Critique is hard for anybody to take, but none of us are perfect. And so there are some shadows or hidden places that we all have that, we think we're better than we really are. And so not having that immediate reaction of saying, that's not me, win, and just letting the person talk you through that, and then finding some resolution. But just, I like that. Like she said, the blame game is definitely going to make it go left. And then also a person who does not take any accountability is also going to make a conversation go left. You agree?
Yeah, but I feel like you, in a way, said kind of what I said. Like you said, that's not me. As though like you were cut off before you could even finish getting your, you know what I mean? I feel like it's similar.
Oh,
but the answers were
it
similar.
is. I thought you were saying more of a conversation will go left is you always or you never.
Yeah.
And then
I cut you off right there, not letting you finish. You know what I mean? Like easily they could throw it off the rails. I don't think it's necessarily a male versus female handling of a situation. I think it's just the person and what they're accustomed to and how they behave. Like, I've seen men who typically would be viewed as the less sensitive of the two sexes, right? They wouldn't be as emotionally charged as a woman. But I've seen emotionally charged men, like, where as a woman, I'm looking at myself like, am I the man? Why are they so sassy? And then I've seen it, you know what I mean? The other way, where I could be sitting here sobbing and, the guy could be cracking a joke and they don't take anything seriously. So I don't think it's necessarily male versus female. I think it's more the person, like who they are as a person, not necessarily, women can't cope or men can't cope. I think it's just, Maddie can't cope or Dawson can't cope. Just throw out a couple names.
I think, I've never been afraid to talk about generalities on this show. I think in general, women have more to say verbally than men do.
Except for me.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, most cases, women want to talk about it all the time or talk about something. And men are more thinkers. They hold it in. They don't want to deal with it. They want to just hope that everything will work itself out. And so when you have, these two different genders that are just one always wanting to talk and the other not, it can cause some friction. So I do think, people who aren't, like Jackie's not a talker, and I am. So when a person wants to have a hard conversation or we need to talk, it's not like that other person is going to magically become a talker. And so I think that's stressful for people who are talkative that, hey, this is a moment where you need to talk and you don't. And
so like for us, you're going to be the one talking. And I feel like it might come across that my lack of response is me disengaging when that's not what it is.
Yeah, it feels like that. Yeah. I just, when somebody pours their heart out to you, you expect a response. And sometimes, like you said, when you don't get a response, it doesn't feel like you were heard. So what should a person like that do in that situation? How do they get resolution? Yeah.
You remember who you married.
And then how do you know that person is hearing you or receiving whatever it is you're saying?
For me personally, I just feel like you have to know that I'm listening to you. And like, if I'm not sure what you're trying to say, I'm going to ask for clarity. I might not do it right then, but I'm going to. But me. You can't trust anybody else, though.
But you heard me, though.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to have to wait for your answer.
I'm not going to not listen to you and not, process what you're saying. It just might not happen right away.
I heard that.
I mean, I'm sure I've had a time where I've brought up what I believe to be the right issue in probably the wrong way. I don't doubt that. And I'm sure it just caused an argument.
Yeah,
I can't think of an example, but I don't doubt it.
nah. I mean, if I sat here, I could probably think of a time where I did, but I think you just learn and grow. You're always going to bring up something the wrong way. You're always going to say, and it's going to make things worse. It's not going to end well. And I don't even know why we do that. I think we just, even before we get to a point where we say something, we're already thinking about the reaction of the other person. So we come in blazing because we think the other person's going to respond blazing. And one thing I can guarantee you is they're going to respond blazing if you start blazing. So it's better to rehearse your lines 1,000 times until you have them. No, it's better just to think before you talk, to think about how you would want a person to say something to you and then proceed in that manner. I mean, I wish there was a formula, but it's really about that's what makes marriage so special is you get better as you go. We were terrible in the beginning. I know I was. I won't speak for you, but we were terrible in the beginning, and now we're not great, but we're way better.
Speak for yourself.
You're great. I'm getting there. I'm getting there to greatness, but yeah, it's just really one of those things that treat others how you want to be treated.
He's very animated all the time, and I'm very much like this all the time. So I feel like if he comes to me upset about something and nothing I say is coming out right or satisfying whatever it is he wants to hear, I feel like he just gets more animated. But in that moment, I'm not just like, oh, this is just him being excited. I'm like, oh my God, calm down. Like, let me finish. Or so then I start to talk. I could only assume louder or with a different tone or not like my typical cadence would be with you. So I'm sure like we're both sounding aggressive to each other when I don't think that's the intent of either person. It's just when you're having a moment, like both sides want to be heard.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if I ever tame emotion. I try, but I'm just an emotional person, and so that can be misconstrued or construed correctly when I'm upset. And so I just got to be in the moment and realizing that sometimes excitement doesn't work in my favor. Jackie and Maddie have told me many times that excitement doesn't work in my favor, but I'm just an excited person, and that can be good and bad. I don't know. It's great when things are great, but it's not a good trait to have when things are not great. So yeah, I don't know. I've been focusing on listening more, so that's one of my ways to try to control my emotions. And I laugh now because I've said this I know before, but the more I listen, the more people talk. So it makes me feel bad
that he wouldn't let us before. I mean, I don't care because I don't like to talk, but he wasn't letting the public talk before.
I've noticed that you talk more now that I listen more. And that's me practicing controlling my excitement.
I am a firm believer in living in reality. So I feel like you have to be honest. I cannot stand a what?
A liar.
A liar. I cannot stand a liar.
A liar is worse than a murderer.
Worse than a murderer. I say it multiple times a day because I deal with liars constantly. I cannot stand a liar that tells a lie just to tell it. It's a pet peeve of mine. So I would rather be direct and honest, and I'm not going to be like, you're the ugliest person I've ever seen and you're dumb. I'm not going to do anything like that. But I cannot, I just can't beat around the bush. I can't I don't know what it is. Like I said, I'm going to be what I feel is gentle and kind. And the best way I can be good to you is to tell you the truth. Not everybody wants the truth, though. But I would be doing you a disservice if I did not give it to you.
Yeah. And this question, I mean, when you think about the tie of being honest versus being gentle, gentle is always the right way to be. Always the right be. So even if you're telling a lie or the truth and you're not gentle, it's not going to be received well. But what I will say is sometimes you can present the truth gently and it's not going to be received that way. Yeah. So if I say, I'm going to flip the thing. If you say, honey, your breath is kicking. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to hurt my feelings.
Really?
I'm just saying.
Wouldn't you rather me tell you?
I would, but it's going to make me feel bad that I've been walking around all day with stanky breath and you're telling me that my breath stinks. And then I'm not thinking about the fact that you said it gentle. I'm thinking about, I can't believe she's saying this to me, even though my breath stinks. She should have just tolerated it because she's my wife. Anything. So that's what I'm saying. So you can be honest. And even though you say it gently, it could be just received. And I'm sure that's how most things happen when people tell a person the truth. I don't think they come with just rage. I think they come and say it gently and people just can't handle the truth no matter how gentle you say it.
I mean, I don't know that there's a sign or a signal that he's not going to be ready to hear whatever I'm saying. I mean, if he's on the phone or working on something, like, I guess that's a sign that he's not ready to hear what I have to say. But outside of being, like, in the middle of something, like, I would think he should be ready and willing to hear what I have to say anytime.
I am.
That's what I'm saying.
I would say a sign that a person is not ready to hear what you have to say is like if whatever you're about to say, that person is like actively doing, it's hard to, it's going to be hard for them to be ready to receive it at that moment. If they're cutting your toenails too low and you tell them that while they're cutting your toenails, that's probably...
You know what he should do? Is
me?
Get a pedicure. Because you don't cut my toenails. Grace cuts my toenails. So you must be talking about me.
I was just using the hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. So find a time where they're not doing what said problem is to talk about that. But no, there's a bunch of signs to where people aren't ready. And again, there's no perfect time. But, do make sure the environment is such that you can talk about it. Don't don't do it when they with family or friends either. That's not a good sign to talk about something, especially when they tell you not to talk about it.
If I don't agree with something that he's bringing to me, I tell him I don't agree, and I know he's gonna push back, and I might push back. And he's going to push it. Like, it'll go on forever. I'll just shut down. Because we obviously don't agree. Not the right way to handle it, but some things aren't worth... No, I do. Some things aren't worth the argument. Especially if it's not that serious.
You know what? I've learned here recently that, I'm just here to listen. I'm just here to be a sounding board. And so if Jackie says something that I don't agree with, I mean, unless it's going to cause, harm to me or anyone else, I'm just here to listen. I'm going to listen. I'm going to hear her out. I'm going to hear why she thinks the way she does. And I'm going to choose if I should interject or not. And lately, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and being someone she can talk to.
That's why I don't talk.
Why?
I'd rather just talk to myself.
Why?
Because I don't want you to feel like you can't say whatever it is you have to
No,
say.
but sometimes you said a few episodes back, you just need me to listen. You don't need me to respond.
Sometimes, but that just, to me, that sounds like you don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to listen to whatever it is I'm talking about.
I do, but I want to interject. You know, I like conversation more than the next person. I'll go back and forth.
More than any person.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to listen. I just be wanting to say stuff. You know, I want to talk.
I think you've reached the point in marriage that you need to be at when you feel like you can approach any topic at any time with your partner. That's like a level of comfort that everyone should aspire to.
Are you there yet?
Yeah, told you. I'm about keeping it real. But I don't want to talk. I mean, if I was a person like him that had so much inside of me that needed to get out all the time, I don't know that I would be quite there yet. Because I imagine I would have a lot of things that I would need to release.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal in any relationship, is to be able to talk and listen freely, without apprehension, without doubt, without fear of reaction, fear of rejection, fear of saying everything you want to say or not. The ultimate goal in relationship is to be able to say whatever you have to say without judgment. I wouldn't say I'm there yet, but I will say that the more I share with Jackie and the more I do it in a way that is free or not expecting judgment or a reaction, if I go in and I just talk to her about something, the more I'm finding that the two of us talking through something together is always better than me just talking to myself about it or trying to come up with a plan by myself. So I'm only hurting me when I don't bring things up, and that's the ultimate goal in this, is to be able to commune.
I think some things are better left alone if it's something that's not going to come up again. Like, I don't know, you take me out to dinner at some restaurant and I thought the food was gross, but you put a lot of thought into the plans. Like, whatever. Like, we may never go there again. I don't feel like it's worth hurting someone's feelings just to say something that's unnecessary.
That was funny because I don't think everything should be said. I think some things should be left alone. So, like you said, I could talk about everything and have a comeback for everything, whether that's right or wrong. But there are times where, like, it happened tonight, where I may remember an experience different than you. And you may you may say, I don't remember that. And I could choose to, at that point, badger you. But what would that gain?
I just feel it interesting that you're rehashing it, not even an hour later.
What?
I don't remember much.
I know, but
it takes you walking me down a mighty long road
it does.
to make me like, oh yeah, that's right.
It does, but it's like you want the person to know, like, you're not just making it up. But it's sometimes it's not worth walking you down that road for something so meaningless as a date that didn't happen. A reservation that wasn't made. A beef Wellington that wasn't eaten.
I feel like you can be real without bordering on disrespect. Like I said, you're ugly and you're stupid. You don't have to say things like that. You can be honest with someone without being disrespectful.
Yeah, when keeping it real goes wrong.
I feel like when you cross over that line, like you're doing it out of spite and to be malicious and you're trying to hurt someone. If you're getting it to the point where it could be construed as disrespect.
I guess the assumption is that it's hard to be real and not be disrespectful, but I agree with you. I feel like just keeping it honest, keeping it about the topic is the best way to do it. And you don't need to add anything, or if the conversation doesn't go your way, you don't need to be disrespectful. And some people may call that being real, but I think just being real in this situation is just keeping the main thing, and always keep the main thing the main thing. That's a lot of things might be happening, things might be said, but always get back.
Oh, when a conversation turns into an argument, I might go back and forth a time or two, and then I'm just not gonna. I just shut down.
I'm trying to keep this conversation from an argument.
He's not doing a good job.
No, those are the ones that I think are the most dangerous because, as we've been saying this whole episode, usually when you come in with some truth or being real, like you're prepared for it. But when just a normal conversation turns into an argument, that's when it's harder to keep your emotions in check because 5 seconds before we were just talking about ice cream. And now we throwing ice cream at each other. Like, what happened? Those are tough. And we've had some of those where normal conversations have flared up, but you just got to bring it back. Got to bring it back to normal conversation.
I feel like when that happens, it's not about what it's about. You know what I mean? It's not about whatever happened in that moment.
Yeah.
If it took a turn that quick, that's not even what the argument's about.
That's somebody using that conversation
as a platform, as a jumping off point to start the argument they've been wanting to have.
And there's no problem with that. Just do it in the right way. Say it in the right way. Don't be like, yeah, I remember you had that ice cream with such and such. Where was I at? Don't just do it in a way that has some tact.
I'm sure I have misunderstood him during a serious talk. I've misunderstood him during a talk that ain't serious. And I think that happens when you're not fully engaged, when you're not giving your complete attention to what's going on. I mean, he could be telling me a story about work and I could be like cooking or, sending an email or whatever, listening, but not listening to comprehend. I'm just listening because my ears are open. And I feel like that's what causes that.
I think a lot of conversations get worse because people are misunderstood. Instead of asking questions to get understanding, they just continue to, huh? What's that supposed to mean? What? And then, you got so far from what the person actually said. Now it's an argument, like you said, that's not even about what it's about. But I would say, like Jackie said, always be present, always be listening, not to respond, and always ask questions. Keep asking questions in a non-condescending manner so that you can get full understanding. And some of the times, the person misunderstands because of how you're saying it. So the presenter of information should try to be more clear or reword or say it in a different way instead of doubling down on the way they said it and getting angry while they're doubling down.
But I feel like, too, that gets frustrating for the person who's...
It does.
And then it just turns into something else. So, like, everybody needs to just relax.
But as the receiver, it's not on you if that person's getting frustrated that they have...
Which just then frustrates me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I shouldn't be getting frustrated because you're asking for clarity. Now, if you weren't listening and you keep asking, that's different. But I shouldn't be getting frustrated. But you're right. People do. People do. So, no, I appreciate that. But I'm going to take some of these notes.
Get a pen. I don't remember the content of the hard conversation that I'm going to say made our relationship stronger. I just remember so it was after we had reconciled, we continued to go see the therapist that was court ordered. And I remember she had given, I don't know if it was His Needs, Her Needs was the book, or Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I think we were listening to like the CDs of that or something. But we were in her office, and I remember whatever the conversation was, we were kind of going back and forth. And I just remember having this feeling like when we got in the car, like we're splitting up again. I remember having like this sick feeling like I didn't want to talk to you. I was so upset. I was crying, and like, we're going to get back to the house and he's just going to leave. And we ended up in Bolingbrook. I remember I don't know, I think we went to IKEA. I think we went to the pet store. But when we were pulling into the parking lot, like we were just talking like normal. And that was like, I think the first time that we had an argument that I felt like was a good argument, because it was a difficult conversation to have, whatever we were talking about in the office. But once we left, it wasn't something that we were afraid to approach again, whatever it was. And I can't remember like the actual body of the argument, but I just remember you saying something like, well, it's okay because now we can talk about it. And that was like probably the first time. So that was at least 12 years into the marriage. That was probably the first time that I was like, we can actually have an argument, like a regular argument. And it doesn't mean that like we're getting divorced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why longevity is so important to this. And the sooner you get the things we're talking about, the better off your marriage will be. I can't remember an exact conversation. I just know, I feel like, because Jackie's not a talker now, like 20 years ago, she was even less of a talker, if that's even possible, than she is now. I mean, a lot less, like publicly, privately. She was just, being an only child, I think she just knew how to move in environments without needing to say much. But I just remember kind of around that same time period, after I came back home after we were split, that she would start to tell me the things that she desired of me. And I just remember thinking, now I know what to do. Before I was like guessing, but now, because it would be like, it wouldn't be anything major. She just say, this is what I need from you. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. And I remember that one, I don't know if it was Valentine's Day, I did something or whatever that you had wanted me to, and you were so grateful. And to me, it wasn't much. I was just doing what you had asked of me, and I think for you, it was like, he listened. Mm-hmm. And that was such a big deal. You would have thought I bought her a diamond ring. But but it was just like, well, that's the effects of when you tell someone what it is you need. And of course, yeah, I still have to go and do it and listen. But I just remember, like, man, I need her. Not to this day, I still need her to tell me what she desires from me.
I think the best advice I could give someone about how to handle a tough conversation is to have the tough conversation. No one's going to want to have it, but it's going to become exponentially worse the longer you put it off. I feel like avoidance gives people a false sense of security. They think that they're doing everything right, and then they feel blindsided when they're met with this, conversation that you finally, weeks, months, years later, worked up the nerve to have with them. And then it just makes everything, I feel like it's just like a bomb goes off. It's just, if your kid just kept peeing on the wall and you kept cleaning it up, they're not going to know that that's bad. You haven't addressed the behavior. You haven't confronted it. They're just going to keep peeing on the wall, like you're potty training them. You have to let them know that that is the wrong thing. No one's going to know that they're doing something wrong or that there's a problem with how they're treating you, or you don't feel hurt unless you tell them. People aren't mind readers. You can't blame someone for not just knowing, just because they should know, or you've been married 30 years or whatever. Like, you need to have the tough conversation. That's the advice I have.
I agree with you. or you have to have the conversation. Again, there's not a right time. So just have it. And I would say, whatever you do, and I'm talking to the couples out there about to get married, have the conversation in love, in the tone and manner that you would want someone to have that conversation with you. There's a scripture that says love covers a multitude of sins. And so if you say what you really feel in a way that's in love, whether it's received or not, it is now on the other person to do something with that. And so it's no longer on you. Now, if you get upset and be disrespectful, yell, whatever, then it's going to go totally different, and the whole point of the conversation is going to be missed. But if you do it in love, if you truly pour out to a person, I think they'll recognize it. They may not respond or react right away. They may not respond at all. But it's on you to hold down your end of the bargain and to not get caught up in the emotional game that they're going to try to draw you into. Say what you have to say, and that'll do more. That'll heap burning coals on their head if you can maintain. So that would be my advice. I'm trying to take it myself, but it always works out when you do anything in love. That's it. Season 2, episode 5. We are Limitless Livin. It's limitless-livin.com without the G, right? Just look us up. You'll find us. You'll find shorts of our conversation. You'll find this whole conversation. And we're just excited about marriage. We love each other so much that our love is overflowing to you all. So check us out. Really take this to heart, and hopefully it helps. Anything else?
Nope.
We out.
We are Limitless Livin.
Remember, in marriage, you can live, love, and laugh limitlessly.